Rachel, welcome to the Z Marketing Podcast. Thanks so much for being with us today.
Thanks, I'm excited to be here.
Awesome. So tell us a little bit about your work as a networking coach, or give us your 30-second elevator pitch.
Yeah, so I work with professionals to turn icky networking into sticky relationships. I am a firm believer that anybody can network, whether you're starting from scratch or you've been doing it for a really long time, and making it be something that is a habit for you, both professionally and personally. And I started doing this because I realized that my network wasn't very wide or very deep because I was so focused on working all the time. So I knew the people that I worked with and my clients, but when it came time for me to find another role and I wanted to get out of the hospitality and hospitality tech industry, I didn't even know where to start. And networking was the key. And I ended up meeting 300 people in one-on-one conversations in 1 year. I realized that
Wow.
there's a skill set around networking. And a lot of people are just told to go network, but they don't really know what that means. And they show up, but most of their conversations end up being transactions, and they don't turn those into relationships. So I really try to help people to make that happen. And then also working with teams to help within companies too. So it could be from the sales side where they are really focused on business development, but not the networking, which is a precursor to the business development, or just in general within a company. How can you network within your company so that you can start to know more people and have more presence amongst your peers and others and be more recognizable?
Amazing. And networking doesn't come naturally to a lot of people. Some people it does. A lot, I would say most not, but I think it's something that's very coachable that you can get better at. I know I've gotten better at it over the years. In my opinion, it's kind of criminal if they don't teach it in school. It should be something that like we are trained in. But in your opinion, what are the number one challenges and struggles people have with networking? And what are some tips that you can share with us that we can be better at networking?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is that knowing that it is actually a skill set. It's something that you need to practice the same way, people aren't always naturally great singers. You have to practice to be a great singer or to play the drums. It's very similar in that sense. Like you can do it, but you may not be great at it. And it's important to show up and be present wherever you're at and be your true, authentic, genuine self. If you go there to try to impress people, that gets noticed, and people are less likely to want to talk to you or build relationships with you. It's really about how can you just show up as you. And then when you are having conversations with people, how can you be personal? How can you make that connection with somebody that is a personal connection? So whether you're talking about someone's passion, something that really excites them, what lights them up, and the other big thing that people will always remember you by if you help them solve a problem. So if you're talking to someone about a problem or challenge that they have and you can help them in some way, they're never going to forget you.
That's awesome. So what I'm taking away from what you're saying is that one, you got to show up ready to give value in the form of, helping people solve problems, and also being human. You know, maybe being yourself, or your best self at least, but being human, like not just talking about your 9 to 5, but like what excites you, what's your hobbies, passions, sports, whatever it might be. Like what are some now if someone works with you, how take me through the process. Do they come to you because they're in the job market? Do they come to you because they have started a business? Or how do you work with them to improve their networking skills?
Yeah, so I have clients all across the board. So I have work with college students that are looking to get an internship or trying to get into clubs at school that are going to help them get to that internship or their next job. I work with those that are in career transition looking for a role. I also work with people that are currently employed but just want to get more exposure within their own company, I work with entrepreneurs, and I also work with executives that are looking to get their next board seat. So the interesting thing is that it's pretty, regardless if you're a college student or you've been executive for a long time, the skills are still the same. And they still need the same type of support. So we really work through a lot of different challenges that people have, but primarily the focus is how can you show up to be your best self wherever you are? And additionally, what are the tactics that are going to help you to make networking be at ease? And it's not something that you have to work at. It's something that will just be very easy for you to do. And you're meeting people that are then going to help you further. Because one of the big things about networking is you don't want to just meet someone and that's the end of it. Ideally, if you can get an introduction to somebody else, that's great. And it makes it a little bit easier to continue that process. The reason why I met 300 people was because if you think about it from a marketing pipeline perspective, I had so much inbound. I didn't have, there was a point where I couldn't even do any outbound because so many people are saying, oh, you need to meet Rachel, you need to meet Rachel. That's ideally what you want to happen. You want people to know what your ask is. Who do you want to meet? And they say, oh, you have to meet this person and you can help that person out. And the one thing to think about too is that you don't always have to give something. It's great if you can, but sometimes just listening is even better than having to offer something.
Yeah, that's a great point. There are many, I guess, different ways to give value. Sometimes giving value is just being a listening ear, just being a good sounding board for ideas, whatever it might be, just being a friend, being there for people. And I think I like how you talked about it in like kind of I think it is networking is a part of marketing, and having a strategy rather than sort of just because I think most people go to these events, they give out their business cards or they try to get everyone on their LinkedIn, and they're sort of like firing and just seeing what sticks. Like they're just, spraying and praying, as we say. And I think having a strategy, like the way you help your clients have an approach, strategic approach to networking. What are your goals? What do you want to get out of it? Who do you want to meet? Um, and also how can you showcase yourself in the best way that you're coming across as authentic, as someone of value, as someone who's good to know, and someone who's a helper. That's all great. Maybe you could tell us a little bit, and it sounds like maybe this came from your hospitality background a little bit. I know you have these networking dinners, which is a really cool concept. Maybe you can go into that a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. So, being based in New York City and being in hospitality for over 20 years, I love going to restaurants. And I decided a little over a year ago that I was going to combine my networking and my hospitality into these networking dinners. So, I bring together executives and entrepreneurs that come from different roles, industries, genders, generations. It's a maximum of 8 people that come to the dinner, and I do at different restaurants all over the city. And it's a facilitated conversation similar to a mastermind or a Jeffersonian style dinner. There's no theme to it, but I facilitate the conversation so people start to get to know each other. And I started this dinner from inspiration through Adam Grant. So he wrote the book Give and Take. And a little over a year ago, he was on American Express Business podcast that was talking to authors today about a book that they wrote in years past that was a bestseller, and wanted to know what they thought about their book today versus when they wrote it. And one of the things that Adam mentioned was oftentimes we talk to people in the same circles over and over and over again. And so ideas get recycled versus thinking about new things. And that's why I like bringing people together that wouldn't necessarily connect. Say you're in marketing, you're going to go to meet other marketers. If you're in pharmaceuticals, you're going to go meet other people in pharmaceuticals. You don't always connect with people, someone in pharmaceuticals with somebody in uh, let's just say finance, for example. And so you never know what ideas could transpire or problems that are happening in different industries, but maybe solved from different points of view. And so we talk through different things that can help each other, and every single dinner is different.
That sounds awesome. It sounds almost like a intimate mini mastermind brain trust over food and drinks. And breaking bread definitely helps forge bonds. And I think it's a great point. I've actually shared this before with certain people and networking groups that I'm in. Like, there's a lot of value to meeting people in other fields, because it takes you outside of your bubble, and it can make you see patterns or different perspectives and approaches that can generalize, or that can sorry, we have some company here, um that basically can, I think, influence your own thinking. So sort of like the idea of studying, like liberal arts, or a variety of different disciplines can help sharpen your overall knowledge. Like, I'll just give an example from my own life. Talking to people in finance made me think more in my business, not just as a service provider and not just like a marketer or getting revenue, but more about helping my clients increase their cash flow, and also look at my business more as a profit generating machine, like more efficient, if you will. And by thinking about like things like investing and even like accounting, things like that, I thought about my business and I'm more, I guess, like, how could I make it profitable that it could sell? And that made me take actions that make it more efficient, and also speak better to my clients' concerns about their bottom line. So that's just an example.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting because you may have never even thought of thinking about anything in that way if you hadn't had a conversation or heard finance people talking about it, and then it just sparks that for you. And so I always tell people you often want to talk to specific people, but be open to talking to anyone because you never know who that person is that's going to help you with something that you never realized, or who they know that could help you.
Exactly. And you have to go outside your bubble or your industry or your comfort zone, because there are people who know people, it might be a lawyer, but he might know a CMO at a Fortune 500. Like, you really never know. And if you can kind of connect on a human level, on a friendship level, and maybe share value in an interdisciplinary way, like, learning from each other's businesses and experiences. I think you just not only enrich your own knowledge, but your network, and you can really meet a lot more. It could be the gateway to meeting a lot more great people. Where can people connect with you, Rachel, and learn more about what you do?
Yeah, the best place is on LinkedIn and also my website. I think both of them will be in the show notes for people to connect.
Awesome. I'm going to put that all in the show notes. And thank you so much, Rachel, and look forward to having you on again in the near future.
Thanks, I appreciate it.